We are 1 week closer to the Premier League ending. Get in. Yes, thank God for that. Welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. I hope you will join us for the Premier League Roundup show. Back once again as Liverpool are going to be champions. Another team has been relegated and the chase for Champions League spots rolls on. Welcome back to the show. I hope you are all well. Josh is with me. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, fine. No, Sean this week, I think he's still recovering from paying £130 for a Barbie cake last week. So our thoughts go out to him at this incredibly difficult financial time. Of course, we hope to see him back next week. Hello to everybody joining us in the chat. I hope everybody is well. Star Londoner, Fathead as well. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're going to start at the G-Tech. Where there was goals galore as Brentford beat Brighton by 4-2. And Josh, these are two teams that are quite unpredictable in what they're going to bring out in terms of performances. And this scoreline doesn't really surprise me when you put these two teams together.
Yeah, one of them after Brentford's ground this season, I forgot what it's called. There's always seems to be goals. And Brighton and Brentford are one of them teams you start to when they're going to turn up. Those the type of team to beat Man City one week and then lose Southampton the next week. So there's always going to be goals here. I think Brentford got off to a good start on a 1-1, and then Brighton got a red card in the first half, which is always going to give yourself a mountain to climb playing with 10 men for 60 odd minutes. To be fair, I think they got to 3-1, they fought back to 3-2. But from what I saw, this Brentford comfortably had enough chances to win the game, so they should have an extra man. It's been a funny season for Brentford. It feels like they've had a great home record, they've had a good season, but then they've never really been out of the top half. Every time they've had a chance to sort of close the gap in the European places, they've sort of blew it. Obviously, first half of the season, had that amazing home record where they didn't lose a game at home, and they also had that record where they kept scoring inside the first 60 seconds. And then in the second half of the season, they've dropped off a bit at home. I'm pretty sure they've won one at home since Christmas, and that's not exactly helped them. Although they have improved the away form as well, picking up more points away. But yeah, the funny old team, Brentford, so Brighton to be fair. But for Brentford
I think with Brentford, they're a funny team because I've just had to actually go and have a look where they are in the Premier League, and they sit 11th. They've won this game and they've closed the gap to 2 points to Brighton in 10th. So they're a fair way off the European spots. I mean, there's a pretty big jump between Villa and Bournemouth, but I mean, 8th is going to get you a European spot this year, but it looks like. So, really, they're only 3 points off. So they were 6 points for this weekend. So they're still with an outside chance, but there's never a dull moment, especially at home for Brentford. And as you said, Josh, with Brighton as well, they're two teams that you just never know what's going to turn. They've got incredible quality. We probably don't give Brentford enough credit for how now established they are as a Premier League team. And Brighton, I don't know whether they're coming or going. They lose 7-0 to Nottingham Forest and they win convincingly the week after. Two really bizarre teams that probably haven't got the sort of consistency to find themselves in a European spot.
Exactly, yeah. Brighton, they lost 7-0 to Forest, and then I'm pretty sure they won 6-0 after that, or at least went on a 6 or 7 game unbeaten run, which sort of just sums them up as a club, really. And then I think since then they're on a bit another bad run of form now. Last 3 or 4 games, I think they're sort of struggling a bit again. And the two teams, really don't know what you're going to get. Feels like Brentford have sort of been in around 13th to 11th all season. I don't think they'll get Europe now. I think that there's not sure how far they are off it. As you said, 8 should get you Europe. Or I think there is a situation if we go down to 9th or 10th still. So you never know. That's still over the shout, but did have to put a very good run together now. Last 4 or 5 games to want to get into Europe, but I think this was always going to be a great game for neutrals.
For sure. Something that wasn't a great game for the neutral is what happened in the east side of London yesterday afternoon as West Ham United abysmally drew at home to Southampton. Now I let some steam off last night. I got home, Josh. I was quite angry and I did quite a hot-headed video last night, so you can go and check that out for your pure entertainment above all else. And for detailed analysis of this. But yeah, just briefly, Southampton wanted it more, right? And it really pains me to say that. And that's in both games. I thought we were really lucky to beat them in December, actually, when we played them at their place. They were the better side, and they probably deserved to win yesterday. When they came forward, they had more, they had more penetrative tendencies. They were much better, quicker, speedier, and they went forward with intent. We went forward just meandering around the place, and I thought we were really, really bad. And it's a really good job we've picked this season to have an absolute stinker, because we're not in any fear of relegation, which sums up the Premier League to start with, because we should be deeply embroiled in a relegation battle right now. We have been awful. Completely and utterly awful. We've yet to reach 40 points. We are on a horrendous run of form. We can't win at home, and we should be in a relegation battle. But just purely for the luck of how bad the three teams that come up have been, by default, we're not in it because of that. But I tell you what, it's concerning for next season if this carries on. A lot of deadwood needs to go. A lot of changes need to happen, because too many performances are coming up like that, where you've got a bottom of the league, one of the worst teams in Premier League history, coming to our place, enjoying themselves, having a decent day, and probably feeling hard done by in the end not to win. Now, that seems strange when they scored a 93rd minute equaliser, but they had 50% possession at our place, for goodness sake. Come on, right? It was dreadful. And it was no shock when they scored. I was not shocked whatsoever. It was probably fair that they got at least one. And yeah, brilliant finish from Bowen after a really, really just flat first half. And I thought, right, we've scored, here we go, we're going to kick on now, we're going to put a few past them. But no, one step forward, two steps back, and we could put in a brilliant performance against Liverpool, probably do the same at Man United in a few weeks. But when we face these teams like Southampton and Wolves and Leicester, we always seem to struggle, and it brings up the worst in us. And believe me, that was the worst yesterday. Josh, did this shock you?
It did, to be honest, just because of sort of how bad Southampton have been this season. I mean, 10 points all season. Obviously, West Ham haven't been great, but you think, I think you've been slightly better under Potter, and you just think West Ham at home to Southampton, 10 points. I thought you'd get the job done. But yeah, it sounded like Southampton had better chances, to be honest.
Did, yeah.
But I don't know if Potter's like failing to impress you, but I don't think you've been on any better under him, to be honest. I think your performance has been slightly better. You played well in both games under him against Villa Park, in the Cup and in the league. I was quite impressed. But then I look at some of your results and I think pretty sure Lopetegui had you higher in the league. I know you've got to give him time, let him get his own players in. But I'm just surprised how bad they've done this season. I remember people saying they were crying out for a year out of Europe, West Ham, and then they'll go and kick on, like sort of push for them Champions League places. All they needed was a year out of Europe, and they've been even worse. I mean, last season they had Europe and what, to become 8th or 9th. So yeah, I'm really shocked, especially with the window you had last season. The owners went.
We were bigged up to be up there. Carragher put us as the European contender and all the rest of it, and there was high expectations coming off the back of it. And I mean, I've seen, it's been coming over the last few weeks. There's been a lot of stats coming out about his time at Brighton, Potter, and there's been I think there's a ridiculous stat where he went a whole calendar year without winning at home. At Brighton, and he finished 15th and 9th, and he finished 11th at Chelsea, and all of a sudden his record doesn't look as good as perhaps the name Graham Potter sounds. And I don't know where we go. It would seem ridiculous to sack him right now. It would be ridiculous at this stage. I mean, if we're going to sack him, wait to the end of the season, or I'd be highly surprised. But you think he's got a transfer window, and then let's reevaluate things at Christmas or November. In the new season, see whether he can make any, proper change. But no, it's not good signs currently. But where there are good signs, we can go to Villa Park. Aston Villa 4, Newcastle 1. Now, I think this epitomises the Premier League this season. Newcastle beat Palace 5-0 in the week. Went to Villa Park, got battered 4-1. Any result can happen in the Premier League this season. It's just ridiculous. And I think this sums it up, Josh.
Yeah, it's been a strange old season. We've come in here few times and talk about how just don't think the league's been very good this season. I mean, Liverpool are absolutely just won it easily, and it doesn't even feel like they've been that great. It's just a really bizarre season. Say Forest been top four most of the season. They're not even that great. It's been bizarre, but yeah, I'd say this was our best performance of the season, to be honest. By some distance as well. I thought we played them off the park. And the first half, I thought, despite going in at 1-1, we had by far the better chances. Watkins could have had an hat-trick. He hit the bar once. I'm pretty sure he hit the bar twice, actually. I don't know if the one was the second half. I think it might have been first half. Both of them hit the bar. And obviously he got his goal inside the first 60 seconds as well. At the end of the day, they scored from a set piece. Fabian Schär, who probably shouldn't have even been on the pitch after he manhandled Watkins to the ground when he was last man. Whether Watkins would have got to the ball over the top, we'll never know. But he was last man, and he certainly had a good chance of being clean through and goal. And the ref there chose not to send him off. So yeah, that was a bit frustrating. I thought we were by far the better side first half. And then into the second half, I mean, we were just clinical, which we weren't in the first half, and that was the difference. But even then, we probably could have had more, to be honest, after the 3 goals in quick succession. Jacob Ramsey hit the post. For sure, we hit the woodwork 3 times yesterday. And we played off the park, a team who's won 5 games in a row, meant to have the best midfield in the league, according to most, which I think I don't too much understand why people say that anyway. I think their midfield, not obviously they're very good, but I think it's a bit overrated. Tonali, Jolinton and Bruno. I think there's a few other teams who have a better midfield than that in the league. Yeah, and I thought we just completely played them off the park, really, which is impressive. I thought after the PSG game, it'd take a lot out of us mentally and physically. After the game and performance, result and performance like that. And then 4 days later, we just go and batter the form team in the Premier League. It's just it's great to see, to be honest. As I said last week, we hit the whip form at just the right time. I mean, until late February, March, we sort of couldn't get going. It was 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and I think just the Champions League's taken all out of us. I think top 5 or maybe even top 6 would be far too much of a stretch for us this season. And all of a sudden, we've won 5 league games in a row. We've won 10 out of the last 11. The only defeat PSG away in the Champions League first leg. So we've just come into form at the right time. We finally put a run together.
It's really bunched up there, isn't it? Between 7th and 3rd is 2 points. I mean,
yeah, no, it's still going to be difficult to get into that top 5 and get Champions League. Play Man City away on Tuesday in the cup semi-final. Yeah, and then the cup semi-final on Saturday. So the games are coming thick and fast. But yeah, I think Chelsea winning today didn't help us at all. That was frustrating, especially when we're getting beat 1-0, 10 minutes to go. Forest seem to be crumbling now. We're on the same point as them. If they lose to Spurs tomorrow, I think they'll probably end up battling it.
Well, that's the thing, because they've been 3rd for what seems like an eternity. Now Newcastle are 3rd, but they lost 4-1.
Yeah,
like this is
exactly,
mental. I mean,
yeah.
Villa,
it's the only thing keeping the Premier League interesting, really, isn't it? Because it's been a poor season, relegation battle done, title race done. So yeah, it's interesting. But we really need to get Champions League, otherwise we're just going to be wheeling and dealing again, having to sell our best players thanks to just the absolutely ridiculous rules. But you've got to accept it. That's just the way it is, unfortunately, in the modern game. And to avoid that, we've got to get in the Champions League. So I'm just hoping we can just squeeze our way into that 5th place, and hopefully we'll be able to. We have a bit of wriggle room to spend in the summer. If not, it's going to be the same as last year. Someone's probably going to have to get sacrificed. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's certainly the only battle to keep an eye on there, with Villa in 7th, on 57 points, I think. No, 57 points, and you've got Newcastle in 3rd on 59. So it's all to play for there, with the additional Champions League spot as well. That is definitely the battle to keep an eye on as we enter the final 5 game weeks of the Premier League season. Going to what is a pretty foregone conclusion at Portman Road: Ipswich 0, Arsenal 4. It just seemed like how many after Ipswich went down to 10 men and were 2 goals down at that point. The Arsenal fans were singing second again, ole ole, and probably protest for everyone singing that to them. And listen, all their eggs are in the Champions League basket, and who can blame them in the final 4 with PSG in a couple of weeks. And Ipswich are not mathematically down. I'm gonna link them to Luton last season, but they haven't quite had as much of a go as Luton. But they're definitely that sort of team that's going to go back down again. And I almost wish they gave it a bit more of a go and they strung some home wins together and really made Portman Road just that bit of a fortress. They just haven't managed to do it and are going to go down with pretty bleak stats. Josh.
Yeah, definitely. They've won one home game all season, which is just that's just not good enough. I mean, you've got to win your own game, just at least have a chance of. You've got to be good around, just have a chance of staying in this league, just at least make yourself hard to beat, which they haven't. I actually think Luton were more solid at the back, like just a bit more like genuinely hard to break down than Ipswich. It's just disappointing really. Like with the money they spent and the players they brought in this summer, I had high hopes for them. I mean, got some really good players. I mean, like Jack Clark, Liam Delap. They pretty much signed every like decent player from the Championship really. I think they spent over 100 million in the summer, so they probably need to watch the old PSR now as well. Now they're going down. So yeah, it's quite. I had Luton, for example, last season. I had no faith in them whatsoever, spending about £20 million. Thought they go straight back, which obviously they go down, but they put up a decent fight. Whereas I think Ipswich, I was actually a bit more confident with them. I mean, if you look at the team, it's not even that bad. The midfield of Sam Morsey, Calvin Phillips, could you stay on loan from Napoli? It's not even that badly in the lap up front. Jack Clark on the left. It's not. It's all Hutchinson from Chelsea, £30 million. I think he cost.
Leif Davis at left back when he's not getting himself sent off. There's some decent players there.
Yeah, even Ben Johnson. Obviously, he's probably good enough for bottom half Premier League.
Yeah.
I just think they've been a bit underwhelming. Like, I think Kieran McKenna. I think obviously he's very highly rated, the manager. But I do think he should be coming under a bit more criticism considering the money they've spent. I think not that they should stay up, but at least just put up a bit more of a fight. I mean, if you're going to spend over 100 million and have this team, not saying it's good enough to stay in the league, but at least like what is it, more than 10 points behind now. Wolves aren't they? I think it's 12 or 13, something like that. So yeah, I think they have been a bit underwhelming. It's disappointing to see because I've watched them a few times and thought they've got a chance to really good. I remember we played them start of the season away from home and they drew 2-2. We could have easily lost that game. They looked really good. Great going forward, good on the counter, hard to beat. And then I don't know, it's just it's sort of the games against the teams around them which had let them down. Like they lost to Southampton at home. I think they drew to Leicester at home. Yeah, it's sort of them games where against teams around them at home, you think you've got to win. They just haven't. Yeah, it's a shame. Like
apart from winning at Tottenham, they haven't had any big scalps either. They haven't gone away apart from Tottenham and really beaten a big team. They just haven't consistently played well enough.
Yeah, they got a draw at Chelsea away last week and they were 2-0 up, and I thought, they look like a good side, but then it's like sometimes against the teams, obviously today, with 10 men, it was always going to be game over. But against the better sides, I remember Liverpool the opening day as well, they gave them a good game. Against the good sides, they have sort of turned up. It's just the games against teams around. I remember they played Wolves at home the other week, they lost. Yeah, I mean, you've just got to be good at home in them type of games like Wolves at home. You've got to be winning them games if you want to stay in the league. They just haven't. Yeah,
absolutely.
They're quite underwhelming.
Yeah, and they've sort of epitomised why those three teams have gone back down. They've been the best out of them, which sums up how bad it has been. Now, you mentioned Chelsea there. We'll go to their game in just a second as they managed to salvage something today at Craven Cottage, and all 3 points, in fact, in their little derby. Fulham won, Chelsea 2. Now, at one point, Fulham looked like they were good for all three. Pedro Neto, 93rd minute winner, denied them of anything on the River Thames, and gives Chelsea a big old boost for Champions League football. They're through the Conference League. They look odds on to win that, and they've given themselves a decent chance of Champions League qualification. Funny old team, Chelsea, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, before Christmas, it sort of looked like they were in a title race, really. I think they're only 4 points behind Liverpool on like Christmas Day, and then since Christmas, I'm pretty sure they'd be bottom half if the season started after then. They've been really poor second half of the season. Some of the fans want the manager out. Yeah, I'd say just since Christmas, I haven't been at all impressed with them. looked like they'd finally clicked after a few bad years for start of the season. Then now it's sort of they've dropped off again. Although today I didn't watch this game, but from what I've seen, it looked like they deserved to win. To be honest, so they were 1-0 down. Second half time, like they were all over Fulham. Fulham, another one, them just really funny teams. You don't know what you're going to get. I expect them to win today. They're the type of team to win a game like this and then lose to a side they should be beating. Yeah, I just think Chelsea, they're also, as you said, a strange old team. They've not at all been the same second half of the season. I don't too much understand. I'm not fully convinced by Enzo Maresca. I don't too much understand why they let Pochettino go last season, because they ended up finishing sixth last season, whereas it felt as though they were in about 12th or 13th for the whole season. They put a run together at the end of last season. They come top six, and then they decided to sack him. It was just a bit bizarre. I think, to be honest, he would have got in top four this season. I think he finally clicked after a tough majority of the season, because with the amount of players he's got, it's probably always going to happen. But I think he'd sort of just managed to get going at Chelsea, and then they decided to sack him. I thought that was a bit strange. And then Maresca, I'm not fully convinced. As I say, he got Leicester up, but then again, it was probably the best squad in the Championship, and he nearly bottled that. I was Pep's assistant at Man City for 3 years. He strikes me as more of a coach than a manager sort of thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I don't think he's got the bottle to win them titles. I don't think he's the manager that's going to take Chelsea back to where they want to be. I'll say that. But just to solidify them and take them away from the nonsense that Spurs and Manchester United are currently enduring, then I think he's probably going to keep them in that area. And if they get Champions League football and win the Conference League, I don't think any of their fans are going to grumble at that too much. So that's interesting. Fulham are a side that, again, are like Palace. They've got an outside chance of the Conference League spot. There's that bunch there: Bournemouth, Fulham, Brighton and Brentford. 4 teams, 1 Conference League spot, 3 points separates all 4 of them. So they're in with a shot for that one. But again, that's going to be tight and well contested there. So they might get European football. Bournemouth look set for that currently, but who knows? I'm sure there'll be many twists and turns in that battle as well. I quite like having 8 European spots because it opens it up a little bit more and it broadens it for one of those teams to get in there and experience that. So yeah, I hope it's Bournemouth personally, but if it's Fulham, then that would be quality for them. And again, an established Premier League side, similar to what we're talking about with Brentford a little bit earlier on. Right, let's take some comments before we head off. Right, see, what about this for a glowing comment? Where's it gone? The presentation and analysis from these two men is far more balanced, informed and objective than most other channels. Josh, give yourself a pat on the back. Excellent, as always. Now, there is a pretty decisive question here. Now, of course, it is Easter weekend. Did you get many Easter eggs, Josh?
Yeah, I got a few, yeah. Mainly the Galaxy one, because that's my favourite. So, yeah, got 2 or 3, yeah.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I've got a 12 one, a couple of Maltesers ones. Lovely stuff. Yeah, I do love. I've got quite a lot of Maltesers this year, and I do like Maltesers. Although I am a fan of mini eggs, just a bag of mini eggs. I mean, you can see they're all gone, but but the bags have got smaller. A shrinkflation right there. The bags are tiny nowadays. Right? What happened to the big old bags? Honestly, they're rubbish. But yeah, I do love a mini egg, and I've got enough chocolate to keep me going there. The football's not satisfying me, but the chocolate most definitely will in that sense. So yeah, everyone put your favourite Easter egg in. I only got one Easter egg. Oh, it was Tony's Chocolonely. So a pretty good one. There we go. Interesting. Interesting stuff. Right. Where did I get to on here then? Right. Let's scroll up. Spurs disgusted me. They will hand Liverpool the title next weekend. Do you know what? It will happen, won't it? At Anfield. Liverpool have got Tottenham next week at Anfield. They're going to not lift the trophy, but they're going to secure the trophy against Spurs. And to be fair, I don't think they'll be too bothered about it, because they definitely don't want Arsenal winning it. Same situation and scenario as as last year. Fact is, we're the worst, if I press on it will help, we are the worst club for the rumour mill and have a fan base that believe anything they read and then blame the board for every rumour not being true. Very true, it's a mess. It is a mess. Ronnie is confident that Tottenham will beat Forest tomorrow. That's a good game. How do you see that? How do you see that going, Josh?
I'm hoping Spurs will give them a game. I mean, they need to do us a favour. Yeah, Tottenham coming off the back of the Europa League win and Forest falling like a stone at the minute. So, yeah, I think Tottenham will give them a game. So, yeah, I'm hoping they do, because after Chelsea winning today and Man City winning yesterday, you know, we need one of them to get beat at least. So, yeah, but I can't see him giving them a game, to be fair. So, yeah, fingers crossed they do.
Yeah, Forest are at danger of slipping down and almost bottling what they looked as secure Champions League spot. I mean, maybe a Champions League spot for them wouldn't be the best if you're going to look at it cynically in terms of their squad and dealing with it next season. Will the Champions League be a step too far for them? Will they be better suited maybe to the Europa League? I don't know, but I'm sure their fans have been dreaming. They've seen the Champions music. They want it at the City ground. You can't blame them for that. But I'd just be a little bit hesitant if I was a Forest fan, because they've played a risky game this year. They've played counter-attack, not a lot of the ball, and it's worked. And they've been brilliant. Full credit to them. But balancing Tuesday, Wednesday,
as soon as
Saturday,
they get found out,
Yeah.
that, I mean, they'll crumble. I think it's a very good year, but next season, when it only takes one analyst or something these days to just find a little hole in the system, and then they're buggered then, to be honest. But you never know. If they get that Champions League revenue, they might be able to get attract a few decent players. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I just fear if they, if they start to crumble, then it could really be detrimental to their Premier League form, and they might take them some significant time to recover from it, because it is grueling playing in Europe and the Premier League as well, and they haven't got a massive squad, so it will be a test no matter what European competition they end up in next season. Chelsea have been very unpredictable since the turn of the year. They have. You don't know what Chelsea you are going to get. Not even a sausage roll. Jake, that's not okay. Go and get your dad and mum an Easter egg. Well, mum said she didn't want one, and I can't imagine dad wants me to buy him an Easter egg. Apparently I'm buying lunch tomorrow, which that's the first I've heard of. I don't think so. My bank card won't be coming out tomorrow. No. My bank card is going to stay at home. It actually had a tough day out yesterday, my bank card, so it needs some recovery, rest and recuperation. Basically until I get paid, which is quite a while actually. But hey ho, there we are. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on this Premier League Run-Out Show. We'll be back next week to discuss game week 34, getting to the bitter end, where the European race is the only thing keeping us going currently, with everything else all but sorted, basically. Josh, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
No worries.
Thank you. From me, come on your eyes, up the video from Josh, and we will see you soon right here on West Ham Unofficial. Thank you to everyone in the chat for your comments, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.